so we already studied about different different sort of green economy, circular economy and blue economy. So, circular, blue, bioeconomy. Yeah. Now, so what is the blue bioeconomy? Principles: sustainability, circularity and the blue economy. Yeah. Blue economy all related to water, ocean. So, the blue is water, yeah, which keeps evil forces away, correct? Yeah. So, blue all related to water and how we introduce sustainability, circularity and all the activities related to blue origin. So, blue economy relies on renewable living aquatic resources such as algae, which includes both microalgae and macroalgae. Macroalgae is also known as seaweeds, the plant which grows in sea. Sponges, jellyfish or microorganisms to deliver a wide variety of product, processes and services. So, in nutshell, everything whatever is we obtain from the land, similar type of resources can be obtained from sea as well, yeah, from different part of ocean and freshwater bodies. So, this is all to do with blue bioeconomy. So, what are the key features which includes blue bioeconomy? One is marine resources optimization, how best we optimize our marine resources. So, you would have heard about overfishing, because a lot of places fishing is extensively done, but the fishing is done for a specific species. When you do, when trawlers and different fish harvesters, they go in the sea, they harvest fish. Do you think they get everything, whatever they get, they sell it in a market? No. There will be some small fishes, some will be big fishes. Even take for example mackerel, or do you know any other fish species? Name of the fish. How many of you eat seafoods?
Mackerel, sardine.
Mackerel.
Mackerel.
So, mackerel can be as small as this to as big as
Yes.
a meter or something?
No sir. No sir.
Hmm?
No.
How big will be mackerel fish?
As I have seen, maximum 1 feet.
Maximum 1 feet. When it comes to cod, similar one. So, that means different age sizes are there of the fish. So, when fish is harvested, so half of the fish is used and half of the fish is a waste product. So, what happened to that one? And that is known as bycatch. Yeah. That means you go in a shopping mall to buy a pair of jeans and you come out with pair of shoes, because there was offer on the shoes. So, same way when you go into the sea to do some fishing for a specific species or type of fish, you get something else out of it. So, what is done with that particular biomass? Any idea?
Fertilizer.
Okay, fertilizer in ideal situation. What is done in the coastal places? The fish is just left like that, or they do go and put it back into the sea. That means the fish is already dead on the land and you add it back to the sea. What will happen? It will disturb the ecosystem of fish. So, that is the most important one. How do we optimize our techniques over there? So, in Europe in 2016, there is a new regulation called landing obligation. So, whatever you have taken from the sea, even if it is of no use, you have to dispose it according to the waste charter or to make use of it. Yeah. So, what I mean here, whether it is a 1 feet long mackerel or 30 centimeter mackerel, the same size, right? Yeah?
Yes sir.
That's good, you are still awake, that's good. So, whether it is a 1 feet or it is a 10 centimeter big mackerel, if market value is only for 10 centimeter one, what you do with the smaller fish, their composition is going to be the same. Yeah? Whether it is a 30-year-old man or 16-year-old man, the composition will be the same. Yeah? So how you make use of that? Big fish fillet, or you make a minced fish that is direct use as a product, or you go for fertilizer as your friend mentioned, or you make it for feed application, or you make it for pet food sector. Yeah. So there are different way how we best optimize our marine resources. Second one somewhat related to that is circularity. That means within this any of the value chain, how you create a circular uses of that particular resource. Third one is related to biotechnology and innovation. That means how you have innovative technique to harvest or to locate where the fish population is. You would have seen in a lot of National Geographic or different channels, illegally people they use sea blasting to create fish at one specific point to collect the fish, whether it's a good or a bad, or there could be a imaging technique, different tools, how we create those fish at specific location A. Another one is biotechnological, that means how best we can maintain the health and wellness of marine animals, including fish, shells, another one, so that they do not carry forward the disease and other element. And some of the terrestrial activities, for example, the plastic, how many of you heard about microplastics or biomagnification? Have you heard this word called biomagnification?
Yes, sir. It's a carryovering. Whenever there are a lot of plastic which is slowly degrading, and it's create microplastics, and it is carry over through the food chain.
That means concentration of a toxic element in a food which is consumed by humans.
Yes, sir.
We consume a lot of antibiotics. Lot of antibiotics are disposed in dustbins. At the same time, 60%, 70% is absorbed in the body, rest goes into the water, and that goes into the water bodies. From water bodies it goes to the small algae or small fish, and then 100 of small fish are consumed by one particular mackerel, and one mackerel is consumed by one human being. Yeah. So that is called biomagnification, the concentration of that particular chemical into human body. So all the terrestrial activities which are carried out, they also impact the sea bodies. Same thing, if you would have seen a lot of lakes and other natural bodies, they have complete green cover. That green cover is because of what?
Because of eutrophication.
What is eutrophication? That's correct.
It's the leaching out of these minerals which is around the soil, and they are making up the plant like component, and inhibiting the inner portion getting the chlorophyll.
Okay, that's correct. See, basically eutrophication is all the nitrogen and phosphorus, all the chemical fertilizers which are used in agriculture. Yeah. For example, to grow wheat, regulation is I think 180, 60, 60. That is, for per hectare you need 180 kg of nitrogen, 60 kg of phosphorus, 60 kg of potassium, NPK fertilizer. Yeah. So 180 kg of nitrogen comes from, what is the nitrogen percentage of urea, chemical fertilizer?
Approx 62.
46%. If you see any fertilizer bag, that's correct. Well, there's some fertilizer bag, urea is 46%. So that means you need to have a double of that to get that amount. But the plant does not need that much amount of nitrogen and fertilizer. You put it in a soil and slowly it leaches into the water. It goes into the water bodies, and then it is absorbed by algae or a small aquatic plant, even called duckweed, which you will see in coming lectures, and they grow, and then they take lot of oxygen from the water, and dissolved oxygen is required by sea animals, then they cannot grow. So that is all what you call eutrophication. So that means you are disturbing the ecosystem. Yeah. So how things are related with any of the activity, different aspects are there. So when you propose any solution, you have to be prepared what implications it's going to have it on other chains. And fourth one is environmental sustainability. That means how you can make environment more sustainable with all your marine activities, harvesting of fish, or growing of those fish, and to avoid overfishing or underfishing, concept of aquaculture came in. That means to grow those in a controlled environment. Yeah. Can you guess what would be the challenges related to aquaculture? If we grow a specific, say for example mackerel or salmon, you know about salmon, one of the most popular species, yeah. And what will be the challenges related to mackerel or salmon in aquaculture production? If you concentrate those fishing in a specific area within the ocean, what could be the proposed challenges? What negative aspect it will create on economic, environmental sustainability? Any guesses?
If you are concentrating in a specific area, the resources, lack of resources may come and it may affect the growth of the particular species.
That's the things are located at a specific location. The biggest hurdle here is all the feces and the side streams coming out of the fish will be at one specific place. Yeah. So that is, again, there is a new system called recirculating aquaculture system. So how you can recirculate that water so that those things are not concentrated. All the resources will be used because you will be feeding them, and there is new ways of then, yes, similar type of species are present at only at one place. What will happen? They will only consume a specific type of resources, yeah, and the disease between the same fish will be quite prevalent. Yeah. Whereas if you see the ocean, there are multiple different type of species are grown in different zones, because small fish, or see one big whale, when it dies, it feeds millions of microorganisms within the sea. So if all the whales are grown at one place, it will disturb the ecosystem. So every new solution is also having a problems. Yeah. So that's why we need to consider both the solution as well as the problems. That means any new technology which comes in, there is always an implication on the other hand. Yeah. Do you agree? So fifth principle related to blue bioeconomy is economic growth and social inclusivity. Now, how many of you are from the coastal regions? You? Okay. Which part? Okay. So if you have seen the in Chennai, proper Chennai, or further south in Chennai? So further south, if you go near Pudukkottai, Pattukottai, all those belt, what you call this, even coastal side, all the fishing nets and the fishermen, their economic life is not as good as the farmers who are growing the fish or animals on the land. Same fish, they may get 10 rupees or 20 rupees per kg, whereas in the market which is processed, they get around 500, 600 rupees, or somebody is extracting oil out of it, even getting more value out of it. So that is how do we, the benefit goes to the primary producer. That is what known as social inclusivity. Yeah. That means you include them as well into the loop, because they are responsible for harvesting. At the same time, they are also responsible for clearing of the coastal area, licensing and other things. Yeah. So that is why it's very important to consider economic as well as social inclusivity. That means economic benefit of those actions should go to primary producer as well. And last one is related to cross-sectoral collaboration. That means fisheries or blue economy is all growth of fish, harvesting of fish or seafood and other element, and how best these can be related to other sector, that is agriculture sector, fertilizer sector, plus other economic sector where the value added product can be made out of the side stream of fish or a shellfish. I keep quoting an example of fish, but there are multiple other resources which are obtained from ocean. Yeah. So if you will see this, I have to rub this. So this is a particular the best image what I could find. to show how different types of blue economy are included. If you'll see different types of value chain, different types of product formed, yeah. Then you have ICT, that is monitoring. Then you have education system, how different types of value chains are created. That is, to do fishing is also a recreational activity. Scuba diving, yeah. What else? How many of you gone under the sea with a big cylinder on the back? I tried it once in Croatia, and I was thinking, I was given all the symbol, oh, this is okay and this is different symbol when you go down into the water. And after going even for 5 meters, you start feeling the pressure in the ear. So it's not that easy what we see it in somebody is swimming inside. It's really difficult. And with the cylinder on the back, if you don't know the swimming, it's easy to go down because cylinder will not have any weight. But the moment you come out of the water, it becomes very difficult to walk because that's very heavy cylinder on your back. So there you will see all different types of landscape and other ones. So that's again is a big recreational activities. So this also includes in a bioeconomy, but that is not within the purview of this particular module what we are covering. And other one is how best we can manage those resources and retail business to business, that is food, then your ingredient, pharmaceutical, cosmeceuticals, industrial ingredient, feed and biofuel. Yeah. So one I will give you two very good example, which is the latest one at the moment, both in the US and other places, how we use the sea water for cooling of the towers, because majority of the data centers, they need huge amount of energy to cool those data centers. So there was a plan to circulate the sea water through that particular cooling system and then to put it back to the sea. Yeah, A. Second one is whatever aquatic biomass is, especially the seaweed and other one, they can be used for making aviation fuel, that is thermo hydro liquefaction. You heard this one, to make an oil. The only problem is about the consistency. That's the way it is going more into the biofuel side of it. Same thing, microalgae is grown with a higher amount of lipids to grow as a biofuel. So you can see a lot of activities are moving towards the blue bioeconomy and involves number of different types of activity. So whether it's this is a simple example of aquaculture, this is another example of aquaculture, and if you are harvesting like this, or this man doing the fishing, is wild harvest. So remember two terms, one is wild harvest, yeah, you go in a forest to pick the stuff. Other one is aquaculture, that means you grow it for a specific purpose. And then when we go for the seaweed production, how it is being done, you will come across a term called IMTA, that is integrated multi-tropic aquaculture. So I'll ask you that question when we go there. It's a good thing there is no exam anyway, yeah. So IMTA is integrated multi-tropic aquaculture, so that you can, how you grow different species together. Now when it comes to blue circular economy, this is the full blueprint what is required, as I said, about governance, interaction with different sectors, interaction with different marine resources, multi-feedstock biorefinery and bio-based product. This is all the crux of all the modules what we are going to cover in subsequent lectures. So can you name 5 different marine bioresources? Don't say that live fish, mother of fish, son of a fish, yeah, and dead fish. So you have a fish, what other thing?
Algae, phytoplankton,
plankton will be the plant.
crustaceans,
Okay, you giving a big family word, so that covers multiple species, yeah. Algae, both microalgae and macroalgae. Okay, 1, 2, third you said crustaceans, that is shellfish, yeah. Fourth, corals, yes, but they are okay. Corals are used for what?
Some islands are made of corals.
Sorry?
Some islands are there, coral islands like Lakshadweep.
No, it is, yeah. Coral at the same time, it is also used for a lot of pharmaceutical drugs. Sponges, I did mention about the sponges, jellyfish, what else? Duckweed, yeah? Duckweed, there are a lot of small plants. When you go near the sea, you would have seen a lot of plants, yeah? Apart from seaweed, the small plants grow in the water. Howsoever is the water limit, they can be seen on the top. There is a floating plant or the plant which are attached to the ground or to the rocks, yeah? So there are number of resources are there. So if you would have seen the course structure, you would have come across one thing called LTS, yeah? That's called low trophic species, yeah? If you'll see the ocean structure, there are pelagic fish, deep sea, or different levels of water, you get different types of species. Deep sea, you will get a whale and other ones, corals and all there at the bottom as well, rock bottom, microorganisms, bacteria which can handle huge amount of pressure, they are at the seabeds. There some are at the surface, they are pelagic fish or pelagic organisms, some are there in fresh water or in marine water. So when I say marine water, what is salt content of marine water? What is the salt content of sea water, percentage wise? Sea salinity is 3.3%, yeah? An amount of salt required to preserve a food, you all are food science people, right? 0.5% of salt is sufficient enough to extend the shelf life of product, right? Yeah? If you see the first principle of pickling, how much salt you add into a lemon pickle or any other pickle? Preservation, food preservation, first principle, salt and sugar as a preservatives, yeah? You add a sugar to a jam to preserve apple jam, you add a salt to preserve pickles. So what is the percentage of salt is added? You don't need more than 0.5% or 1% of salt to preserve, yeah? And sea salinity is 3.3, that's why it's very, very saline. So that means the whole of the sea water is the best one is to use it for, to use a salt extraction. Salt is extracted like that, you know, by evaporation or so. So you get water vapor and you can use that water again, right? Salt is used, but the sea water itself can also be used as a preservation solution. Can it be? Yeah? That's why sea water will not have any of the microorganisms or bacteria. So the moment they come out of it, they start spoiling. So that's why it is important. You cannot preserve the seafood material, especially the marine origin, at the salt concentration which is required to preserve apple, mango and other things, yeah? Make sense? So the first whole of the food processing and principle of preservation is centered around pH 4.5. Anything pH less than 4.5 can get safer at heating at 70 degrees Celsius. Anything above that, to improve the shelf life, you need to go at higher temperature, something like milk, high risk product, pH is neutral, yeah? So whole of the food processing is centered around pH. Shall we continue? Okay. So that's one. So whatever marine resources are used, you have your research institutes which develops a technology, industry which makes use of it, and if suppose you have your salmon, you make salmon fillet, yeah, you pack it and you sell it to the market, yeah, that is only the food. This is a linear system. So whatever side streams are, how you can use different conversion to make different types of ingredients, and residues can be used for energy or different purposes. That is called multi-feedstock biorefinery. That means how you can get multiple product from a single biorefinery. What is a biorefinery? It's strange that biorefinery word is first used for fossil fuels, yeah. That means to have the same crude oil what you get it from the sea or from the land, you segregate into petrol, diesel, kerosene, paraffin, wax and every of those ingredient. So same way if you take any of the food product or any of the biomass, how you can get multiple ingredients out of it, that will be known as biorefineries. So that is called food biorefineries. So that is not so prevalent at the moment in food systems. Yeah. And then you develop bio-based product, important related to feeds, food, nutraceuticals, as your colleague mentioned earlier, different nutraceuticals like bioactives, phenolics. Which phenolics are present in fish or seafood? Phenolics are not of seafood origin, yeah. Phenolics are there in microalgae, another one, because that's a plant origin. Pharmaceutical compounds, yeah, vitamins and different astaxanthin, a different, yeah, go on.
Essential fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids. Sir.
Okay. Now, omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids, what are these?
These are the essential fatty acids.
Oh,
Linolenic acid are present in.
Yeah, essential fatty acid, because we cannot make it in a human body. Yeah, we need an external thing. What now? How many of you have seen core chemistry book, Ledinger or any of those chemistry book? Fats and oils. Yeah. Have you seen this word called omega-3 or omega-6 or any of the biochemistry lipids book? Yeah, it's not there. But omega-3, omega-6 and omega-9s are quite popular in saying that in literature, non-scientific ones. Even some food journal will mention about omega-3, omega-6, but not core biochemist. Everything is classified based on IUPAC. What it stands for? I also studied here itself, you know, when I was school. International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry. Yeah, everything is numbered based on the functional group. Yeah, so omega-6. Okay, omega-6. Name one omega-6. Linolenic acid.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Linolenic.
So what is it? C18, delta, 9, 12, 15. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the structure. That means
18 carbon.
double bond at 9, number 12 and number 15. And what will be at the end? CH3. Yeah? Correct? And here will be your, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yes, correct,
Okay.
sir.
No, correct me, I may be wrong also, you know, because this is not chemistry lecture. It's a COOH here, right? So this is a fatty acid, so normal counting will be from here, right? But omega-3 and omega-6 counts carbon from here, right? Number 15 becomes omega-3, right? If it is 9 and 12, it becomes omega-6 from CH3 group, yeah? So that's fine, omega-3, omega-6, but the chemists, they don't like that one because there's a way of nomenclature. So remember one thing also when it comes during when we say fatty acids, you need to know clear definition between oil, fat, lipid and fatty acid. What is the difference between four? See, if you are not scientists, if you haven't studied science, we can talk about essential fatty acids. But what is the difference between fatty acid, oil, fat and lipid? Don't say that oils are liquid, fat is solid. No. That is something like cow is white and buffalo is black. Yeah. So think of a difference, and I know that's not, again, this is important when it comes to nutraceutical, pharmaceutical, cosmeceuticals or biochemical. Okay. CH2 CR1, right? Am I correct in drawing that? Yeah? when I was studying biochemistry, I was told always look at the carbon, balance it 4. Yeah?
Yes.
We all study with the same teachers. Yeah? So, this R1, R2 and R3 is fatty acids. So, fatty acid with this particular COH group, so they can be soluble in water because they have acidic group, right? This end is called glycerol. Yeah? So, it becomes oil if they have saturation, unsaturated bond at any point. Yeah? If all are saturated fatty acid, you start with what? C4, butyric, then mystric, lauric, yeah? C4, C6, C8, C12, C10, all the even number. C22, longer chain fatty acids are good compared to short chain fatty acids, yeah? So, all those fatty acids together makes a difference between oil and fat, yeah? There are other fundamental differences are there, definitions are there, but I am not going to go into it. But it is always better when we are reading something to just look into the back and then to go in, because you know it where to find the information. It is not that you will remember everything whatever we studied, that is the fact. And then what is the difference between lipid? Lipid is a broader group. It also includes sphingolipid, which is mainly in the brains, or phospholipid, that means minerals attached to that lipids. Yeah? So, that is the way the whole thing comes. So, when you get an oil from a fish, you get oil or lipids. That is why when we estimate crude fat or crude lipids. Then you fractionate it into the oils, or to remove the glycerol, or to make it essential fatty acids, then you go into these levels. Yeah? And if you segregate your phospholipids or non-polar solvent extracted like astaxanthin and pigments, they are again related to these type of ingredients. And then others are biochemical. So, glycerol will act as a biochemical there. Yeah? So, that means how we can fractionate different element. Within the protein element of it, you can get a collagen, you can get your soluble protein, acid soluble protein, different fractions of the protein. Yeah? So, that is the way bio value chains are created. So, we will have much more interaction when we go into these type of value chains. Next. So, this was all about biocircular economy, what all we need, another one. Now, going back to the socio and economic aspect of sustainability. So, the reason why I have to mention this over here is all about climate action. As you can see, what is the complete roadmap? This is an European target to be carbon neutral by 2050. India has, according to COPE, Committee on Parties, yeah, net zero carbon by 2070, China by 2060, EU by 2050. Some countries, they said they will be carbon neutral by 2100. Yeah. So, that is not easy target. It's easy to set a target, but how do we achieve it? So, there has to be a roadmap. Yeah. If you want to achieve 90% marks, so you establish a roadmap. How do you do in a systematic manner? So, as you can see, for every country is given a target. So, we being an Irish agency or Agriculture Food Development Authority, our activities are also to go as a carbon neutral. For each and every country has to be achieving this neutrality, otherwise they will be penalized. So, number of different activities are carried out by carbon tax, carbon footprint, waste management and everything, as you can see in subsequent lectures. So, this is amount of carbon dioxide is coming in, and waste, that means moving the waste into anaerobic digestion, like what we see, like we used to have in 1980s, all those biogas plant in villages. Yeah, that is anaerobic digestion, how it will reduce some of those energy requirement, at the same time waste valorization. And then feed additives, fertilizers, and because most of the agriculture economy in Ireland is based on animals, dairy as well as meat is the most important element there. Crops and all are crops are mainly grown for the feed side of it. Alternative for feed is required because the feed is coming from soya. Soya is grown in Brazil, depleting forests, that is deforestation activity to increase the land, and then grain is used for animal feed. So need an alternative to animal feed so that the carbon footprint, processing and all is reduced. Yeah? So there are multiple action. So there are different phases. Again, to have the forestry, any of the land vacant should grow the forest trees. There is again different national forestry policies there. Then you have energy going to solar and different activities to reduce by 2030 to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 51%, and then 25% from agri-food sector. Yeah. So CO2 emission, if you see by countries, US 15.5 tons per person, Russia 12.5 tons, India carbon emission is very low, 1.9 ton per person, but population is big. So what does it show? That we are much better circular compared to other world. How it is so? Because we reuse a lot. Yeah, that's called jugaad technology. Yeah, that's now all the old concept. Earlier somebody uses wood to produce food or to heat a food was bad, but now same wood is used as a fuel with it through efficient system to deliver energy. Yeah. Now, if you look at the social and economic aspect, if you look at this particular food chain, so where do we start from? We start from production. Yeah, whether it's animal production or agriculture or so, or you have crop or marine side. Then this goes into processing element. Yeah, we produce, we take it this way. That's the problem with the circle where to start with. Yeah, you produce it, you process it, you do the distribution, home consumer or retail or consumption. So this is the way the circle is completed. Yeah. So what we get out of this agri-food system? Economic benefit, food and feed and employment, correct? What social benefit we get? Human nutrition, health and well-being. So we are not selfish. When we get something from nature, we return it back in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. So if you'll see, 26% of greenhouse gas emissions are associated alone with agri-food activities, 32% of acidification. How many of you know about acidification? Acid rain, old Taj Mahal and acid rain story. That means all the nitrogen gases which are going up, rain falls, it forms nitric acid, and that called acidification. Same thing happens with phosphorus. And then eutrophication, your word. So you are the passed with this distinction. Yeah. So eutrophication, these are the thing what is happening with agriculture activities, livestock production, amount of greenhouse gas emissions, crop production, food unit operation, food waste. So these are the figures which were true as of 2022 from the Science Journal, and all these are causing a huge amount of challenges onto the system. Yeah. So if you take all the food losses and the food waste, all the food waste and food losses across the globe, so what is the difference between food loss and a food waste? Simple definition, food loss which is lost from the production to the processing. Everything will be food loss or lost due to different processing aspect. Food waste is what you waste at mainly at consumer level. Yeah. Wheat flour prepared from the wheat grain will have 15 to 20% losses in terms of grains, milling losses and everything. That will be lost food which could have been used for a food purpose, and food waste which is wasted by consumer. If you see, these are the figures from FAO of 2012, because I could not get much latest figure, but pretty much the story is the same. Nowadays new statistics are much more complicated. That means you need to have either your very good statistical or mathematical experience to understand those statistics with those type of complicated data. But if you'll see in where is India? Here we have majority is the food loss compared to food waste, whereas industrialized Asia we have more of the losses at consumer level compared to food losses. Forget about the other part. So can you guess what would be the difference here? Why we have more of the food waste here compared to here? You don't have to think big examples. Simple example will be what you do and what is done in Southeast Asia. Yeah?
No proper storage.
Hmm?
No proper storage.
That's okay, yeah. And okay, just take about the food waste, not about the food losses. Food losses you all know very well, like we hear all about distribution system, storage, processing. We don't process, we eat raw, you don't need to process when it is already available. When it comes to food waste, why do we have less of the food waste compared to Southeast Asia? Food that is discarded by the consumer, it is higher over here because whole of the seafood is consumed as is. Yeah, the shells, whole shells are there, and then the waste is there on the table. A, yeah. Majority of the product is processed as a whole. You don't if suppose this economy is all related to meat, yeah, or with the fish, whole of the fish is cooked, part of the fish is eaten, bones and skins are discarded. That is one of the example. And whereas here we do process more, and that's why consumption losses are less. So shorter circles are there. Farmer produces, he consumes himself. Some part only goes for processing, yeah. So these are multiple things are there. When you go for distribution losses, cold chain and all those things, then it makes the story a bit bigger, yeah. So whereas in most of the places in Europe, it's food losses, or this one is the countries which does not process much, majority is import based, there will be consumer losses will be more. So these statistics are not straightforward as what they are seen. The purpose of doing so is, if you take care of all the food waste and footprint related to climate change, this could be a third biggest country in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah? Rather than producing new biomass or going for electrical or different, if we are able to manage food waste properly, we will be able to reduce carbon footprint a lot. That's why food waste valorization becomes an important element. Yeah. Now, if you'll see your current demand, so this is again from a journal, current or future global demand in terms of kilocalories. From 1961 to 2000, here population increased by 98%, 147% your production, arable land only by 8%. That means we need to go for more and more deforestation. That's why that word is very important, activities which does not require to remove the forest. Yeah. Irrigation, water, nitrogen, fertilizer. And then between 200 to 250 we have huge amount of requirement. How we are going to fulfill that? That means we need 71% increase in the food what is required as of 2000 statistics. So this is why it is becoming very important, unless and until we get the demand made, that is food security, that is for Asia and certain part of the continent. Europe is having its own problem. So they have to mitigate carbon emission, there is a feed problem. Food is not a problem. The problem is on the other side of it. Yeah. Because you would have seen the stories where the wheat was thrown into the sea, which can be used for human consumption. Crops are not grown. All those WTO agreement about subsidies, you would have seen all those debates. I am not going to go into that. It's but that all are the issues. People are having a land but they can't grow, because what they will do once they grow it. Yeah. You would have seen the farmer crisis. They don't want to harvest onions because harvesting cost is more than the cost of onions. Yeah, all those issues are there. So how do we tackle it? That all to do with government policies and to make a policy suited to a specific region. With all this food chain, blue circular economy or any given food chain, how we can assess the economic impact? Yeah. See, I could have gone with the mapping of economic impact. We would have been only crunching the numbers. Yeah. This is the waste, this is what can be produced, all hypothetical. But if you take any food system, whatever area you are working on, wheat, barley, maize or crop, fruits, vegetable, how do you establish economic impact? One, changing the production processes. So that means how it will change the demand related to bioeconomy, changes in farm revenue. That means if you are using a biofertilizer as opposed to chemical fertilizer, what are the changes in farm revenue? Obviously, organic food is expensive compared to chemically produced one. Yeah. How many of you like the word called organic agriculture? Be true to yourself. Yeah. How many of you will go and buy organically grown apple or organically grown potato or conventionally grown potatoes? Cost will be the major factor. Yeah. But if you have a, that's what it, quality comes when you have a money. When your stomach is full, then only you want to eat expensive food. When stomach is not full, you will go for cheaper option. So how we can reduce the cost of organic food? That means not using the chemical fertilizer. Whose responsibility is environment? Whose responsibility is to get rid of the pollution of Delhi? Government, individuals, or whose? That's why somewhere I was listening to news, it was fundamental rights and fundamental duties. We all talk about rights, we don't talk about our duties. Again, I am not going to go into that, coming back to this economic impact. Then if farm revenues, is it going to change the food prices? Yes, it will. Yeah. Will it change the trade balance? It will. If their chemical pesticides are used, you cannot export it to the Europe, yeah, or to certain part of the world. So you need to get rid of the pesticide. So biofertilizer, biopesticide will have a better impact. Or changes in gross domestic product or gross, what is GNI? Yes, so there are different types of indices are there. Within that, one is related to all net production, GDP or GNI, and then new markets for bioeconomy related product. Yeah. So all these things, how you can assess the economic impact of any given process. How do you estimate a social impact? What is really a social impact? Impact on society. Yeah. Nutrition and your well-being, all is considered as societal impact. New production process, change in health. If you don't use your chemical pesticides, you have a biopesticide, so you have better health. So again, that's A. Access to land market and technology, new market, changes in GDP, changing in employment. So that means you have greater production, or you have a less domestic product will have a negative impact on employment. Yeah, because organic yield is less compared to conventional yield. So how that will impact the employment? Changes in food prices, food becomes expensive, issues caused by food security. Yeah, that is securing a food. Securing from what? Securing for your own livelihood or securing it from your friends. Yeah. So somebody brings a good food in lunch break and you try to secure it from other people so they should not consume it. Or how is going to change the nutrition, household income and overall change in quality of life. So social impact can be evaluated based on health and wellness, employment and your overall quality of life. Yeah. So this is what is social impact, and we have seen economic impact. Now third important one is environmental impact. So socio-economic and environmental impact. New production process, we already discussed about eutrophication. I am not going to go into details of it. I can bet you, you can write an essay based on this particular diagram. Yeah. water quality, then again soil quality. If you are not using chemical fertilizer, you have a better soil condition, and then you have a better ecosystem services because your soil microbiome, soil microorganisms are in good condition. Then related to biodiversity, that means different type of microorganisms are living. Changes in land use change and intensity, that means how best you are using a land, that is wheat after wheat after wheat in north, or rice after rice after rice out near Tanjore belt. Yeah. So you have, that's again how you can use change use, and then changes carbon emission. You have new product, waste, recycling and pollution. So this is all how environmental impact can be done, and this is not as easy as the way it's been drawn. It's quite complicated, but things are interrelated. So what will be the dimension for socio-economic, and third element is scientific, which we are much more interested in. Economic diversification, new products, so you have new economic activities. It creates new jobs at creating jobs at coastal economies as well as terrestrial job. New product in the market, fatty acid, fish oil, different chitosan, chitin, all those ingredients which can be obtained. Community empowerment, that means you are empowering the whole of the community, not only to valorize the waste at the processing level, but also to reduce the waste at the domestic level. As your friend mentioned about the food in a canteen is there, how best we can make use of it if we segregate it properly. We do not segregate it. You have a plate left of the food, leave it on the table, everything goes into the water, disturbing the water ecosystem. If you have separated all the food in a different bag, 500 people, that biomass decomposes easily into the fertilizer. So that's again coming back to food security and nutrition, global trade and economic growth, policy and governance. So all these things feed into government policy and governance, and this affects all these things above. It's a circular system. Policies are made based on the requirement, and these policies are imposed to achieve those or to fulfill those requirements. Yeah. We do think that policies are made by the people who are sitting there. That's not true. They know the ground realities. But we are not aware of the farmer's condition, and that's why those different levies, different taxes are added in. Now, scientific dimension, marine biotechnology, all what we had discussed, circular economy innovation, that means how we can create short circles, ecosystem sciences, that is ecosystem services, disturbing an ecosystem or how to maintain ecosystem, or biodiversity, climate resilience. So in evening we'll go for resilience. Resilience versus sustainability. What's the difference between these two? Think over it, we'll talk about it. What is good? Resilience is good or sustainability is a better word? Aquatic resource management, all the resources which are there in the water. And I think life on this earth started from the water. Yeah. So this is also circular. Now we are going back to the water. But certain countries are only dependent on the water. If they do not have access to the sea, they are landlocked, their resources are limited. Even China, in Japan is landlocked, there are no resources, but they are one of the best economies. They all are heavily dependent on ocean and seas, and interdisciplinary collaboration. That means we need to have sciences from different streams. Yeah. So when it comes to sustainable food production, environment, economic and social, that is, purpose is to build a better future, create sustainable values by providing food that satisfied the consumer needs, not only in terms of health, but also in terms of environment as well as their nutrition. Values, A is food safety, quality, reduction in natural resources, recycle or reuse. There could be multiple other values related to that. Environment, we already discussed all the technologies or processes which can reduce carbon footprint, have waste reduction strategies, water energy reduction. Economic, That is resource deployment, return on investment, resource efficiency. All these three are pretty much related. That means how we allocate different resources, or we get the return on the investment what we are investing. Now the change to bioresources, that means all the resources of biological origin, this becomes your bioeconomy. This is the one what we have already discussed, social related to health, equality, justice in terms of security, access to the safe water, food, opportunity and diversity. That means people, they have all these three social benefits. Yeah. So when you talk about the whole of the food system, we have production, processing, retailing, consumption and recycling. Yeah. So how you are able to, how can you make whole of the food sustainable, or how you can achieve the innovation in this food system? What could be the best driver? How we can have a best production? How can we have best processing technique, lowest emissions during retailing and distribution, best consumption? That's again related to humans, and recycling. That means if you want to have sustainable growth, we have to embrace technology. Yeah, whether it's your AI technology or blockchain, or your drone technology for the production, processing, new technologies, non-thermal processing and different attributes, consumption related, again to have a community crowdsourcing and AI, and this where the foods are available and where is going to be surplus food, how best we can manage those resources. We need to take new technology. We all embrace the technology in every front. We started with normal laptops, now we have these type of pen which we can erase it. So when you have technology, slowly we get sustainability. So if you, how many of you know about UN SDGs? How many are there? Sustainability
17.
Developmental Goals.
17 sustainable goals.
17. So these are the 17 ones. Yeah. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water, sanitation, affordable and clean energy, work economic, industrial innovation, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land. Life of a pie is not there. So peace, justice and partnership for the goal. There are 17 developmental goals to be fulfilled by 2030. Yeah. And if you classify them into different sections of economic, you have life related as poverty, hunger and related to health and wellness. Yeah. And then you have economic growth and infrastructure, economic dimension. Yeah. Social one, again number 11, number 16, 17, 4, 5 and 10. So out of all the 17 UN SDGs can be divided into environment, social and economic. Yeah. So when it comes to the food, what are the key ones which are directly impacting or indirectly impacting? So that is again a very important one to see, related to environment, social and economic. If you see here, when it comes to food, direct one is good health and well-being, correct? Responsible consumption and production. Yeah. What else? Zero hunger. Yeah. These are direct ones. Yeah. Indirect ones are, rest all will be indirect ones, isn't it? Yeah. When it comes to employment or artificial intelligence or take digital economy, some will be direct, some will be indirect. Yeah. When it comes to blue economy, production, consumption, good health and well-being and zero hunger. That does not mean blue economy is only related to those who are non-vegetarian. That's not true. Even I am a non-vegetarian, even I don't eat eggs. Yeah. But that does not mean we don't talk about the resources. Yeah. And then life on a land and life below water. These two are very, very important aspect, and other one is climate action. because whatever CO2 is produced on the land, where is the sink for that CO2 apart from the trees on the land? CO2 sink is also in ocean. Yeah? Excessive amount of CO2 in air with the water is causing ocean acidification. Yeah? What are the challenges with ocean acidification?
So crustaceans, it will be highly affected. Crustaceans,
How?
it will dissolve, like the shell, decaying of the shells.
Shells won't have that much of strength. Yeah? But again, acidification is not at higher level. That means disturbing the ecosystem of the marine sources. So we'll have some practicals related to that, that will to prove that particular point as well. Yeah? So with this, so what we covered in this particular lecture? Morning one we talked about different types of economy, blue bioeconomy, circular blue bioeconomy, how we went from the bigger dimension related to that. Then how do we evaluate, how do we map social aspect of any given food chain, economic aspect and environmental aspect. So with all this, you would have gone through different processes, different approaches, how we all these things are interrelated. Yeah? So everything is interrelated. So it's not whatever you read or whatever was said over here is writing on the wall. These all the statements can be changed. Yeah? One thing constant in life, that is change. So definition of economy, that means all the economic activity where we can use biological resources becomes bioeconomy. Why blue bioeconomy is becoming very important? Because almost everything, whatever is there on the terrestrial plant, all the bioresources can be valorized through blue economy. Yeah? I know this is a bold statement. I'll be happy if you contest that statement. Yeah? Whatever we can get from the land, same thing we can get it from the sea sources. Okay, so with this we conclude and we'll see you shortly then. Yeah?